there's no way to have balance. And so I think the first thing that I learned was not to put so much pressure on trying to establish balance. But again, going back to my previous conversation about quality is more important than quantity. And if you spend 2 hours of quality time, that's better than 5 hours of distracted time. And it's so easy to fall in that trap. I still do it today where, I'm responding to emails or doing whatever in the evening time when I have a great opportunity to hang out with my son because my wife and my daughter are at cheer, and I miss it. I did that the other day and I instantly regretted it. That's where my guilt comes from. Not from working too much. It's from not taking advantage of the moments that I have with him or her or my wife, when I have it and I stay distracted.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are back again. This is Legacy's Journey. It's me, it's your boy, Cameron. I'm super excited for the guest that we have on today. This is somebody, ironically, I've traveled with. We had long, just so in-deep conversations, in depth. I meant to, while we traveled, when were we in Costa Rica on the plane, on the van. And this is somebody who I couldn't wait to have on this podcast just because I know who they are as a person, because we got to talk so much and travel so much. I've met his family, and I know he can bring so much value to you guys because he's been doing this at an excellent level for so long. So everybody, please welcome Ryan Lucia to the podcast.
Wow. That's probably a little more praise than I deserve, but I appreciate it. And we found out on the plane that you only live like 20 minutes from me.
That's true, which we got to talk about that because, we may be making a move here soon, so we do got to talk about that. But, y'all, we got to jump into this because there's so much I know he can share with us and give us. So I'll give y'all a brief intro, and then I'm going to let him take it away, introduce himself. But again, this is Ryan Lucia. He has 5 different companies, y'all, and I'm going to let him break them down. But just know, since 2015, he's been a business owner. He's grown businesses successfully. He's leading and coaching other business owners, and he's doing it not out of just like, oh, I just want to keep making money, which, money's great. It answers a lot of things. But I've seen him in action. I've seen how he's led. I've seen how he treats people. This guy is leading with his heart and doing things the right way. But I'm going to let you take off. Tell us your name again. Tell us the businesses, when you started them, if you want to, what industry you started, and then we'll jump into it.
Yeah, so in 2015, I was working for a software company, and we were in the process of potentially getting acquired, and so I started looking around, and we did get acquired, and I had already started the process of like starting my own business. And call me crazy, like, I was a sales executive, led a team of about 25 people nationwide. We did very well, but I wanted to do something completely different. I was 36 at the time, I think, 35, 36, somewhere around there. And we had just, we had just had our second. Not great timing to like stop your career and go start your own thing. And then
That's fine.
I started a garage door company, where I had little to no knowledge, but I loved the idea of the freedom of being in a truck and driving to people's houses and working on their stuff. But I had didn't know the names of tools, never fixed anything in my life. And so I flew out to California with a friend of mine who does garage doors, trained for 4.5 days, flew back, launched the company. And needless to say, that's not enough time to train for garage doors, by the way. It took me 11 hours to install my first garage door.
Is that good?
That's horrible, bro. Like, giving you the example, like, our guys now would install that same garage door in about an hour and a half, from beginning to end. Yeah, it was bad. I had to make multiple trips to Home Depot. The guy was like texting me, you need this tool. So I'd go to the store. I didn't even know what the tool looked like. And he's like telling me, trying to explain it, take a picture, send it to me. I'm in Home Depot like, hey, do you know what this is? And he's like, yeah, they're over here. It was bad. Like, white collar. I had hired people to fix everything for me my entire life. So it was a sink or swim situation, and we cashed out our 401k. We refinanced our house, paid off all our debt. reduced our overhead, and went after it. And there were some pretty like low days, but after about 6 months, I was able to hire my first employee and then a second employee, and now we got 20. I've got a general manager that runs that business for me. And 2019, I got frustrated because I'd hired multiple marketing agencies and I don't feel like they were doing everything that I wanted them to do as far as the goals that we were trying to accomplish and the expectations set during the sales process. So I started my own in 2019 called Such and Such Media. I also launched a garage door industry podcast because I was lacking in information and there wasn't really like a voice out there. So I thought launching a podcast would be a good idea. So I launched Torsion Talk podcast that same year. And then since then, 2021, they canceled the industry expo. So we took advantage of that and launched digital, digital door dealer conference, virtual door dealer conference. That's what it was. VDDC.
Okay.
And we brought in Mike Rowe, had a bunch of great speakers. It was amazing. We had like 100 dealers on. And that turned out to be kind of the launching point of the podcast. And then we also launched Garage Door U out of that, which was our kind of our mastermind for business owners. And now we've got about 35 business owners in that. And and we recently, just this year, launched Phantom Screens, which is like retractable screens for your porch and patio, garage, restaurant, stuff like that.
Okay. And see, this what I'm saying, y'all, like this whole timeline, he saw opportunity to grow. He took advantage of them. He went and put himself and jumped just into the deep end, and look at him now. Like, he's successful. You cannot run multiple businesses and not be successful. So I hope y'all caught that. All right. So let's talk about that, right? A lot of people think about that as the life. So like, what are some of the challenges of running 5 different businesses, making sure they're functioning well, making sure some of them can function without you having to do it yourself? Like, tell people, because I mean, you and I are in some of the same circles. A lot of people aren't just doing one thing. They're doing 2, 3, 4. How can they do that with the spirit of excellence? Or what have you done, maybe is a better question, to do those things with the spirit of excellence?
I mean, the spirit of excellence is probably the best way, and just knowing that it's never going to be perfect and hiring great people to take care of a lot of that stuff for you so you don't have to do it, and enabling them to make decisions. And so I think those are the keys to being able to do multiple things successfully.
So what does a typical day for you look like? Like, these are things I think, like, okay, this guy runs 2, 3, 4, 5 businesses. Like, when do you wake up? Like, what's a typical day for you? What does that look like?
Well, I listen to my body first and foremost. So if my body says don't get up, I don't get up. And I'm pretty strict about trying to get up early. So just depending on the week, sometimes I'll wake up at 4:30, sometimes 5:30. Usually the latest is around 6 o'clock. But if I'm fighting something or, my body just needs to rest, I listen to it because I may be able to just sleep in and then work late if it's one of those days where I'm able to do that. So for me, I start out early and then, I don't go to the gym as much as I'd like to, but, that's a priority that I'm shifting. I think you have to also recognize, like, if you're too in the weeds, you can't recognize the season you're in. And there's different seasons if you got this much going on.
Wait. Well, wait, we dropping gems already. All right. If you say it again, if you too deep in the weeds,
Can't recognize the season you're in. So you got to take a...
On and preach for us real quick. On and drop.
Go ahead.
No, you preach. I'm listening.
So to me, I feel like you've got to work on your business, not in it, in order to be able to see those things. So when I get sucked in, I recognize it and I tell people around me, hey, listen, I've got to give this my focus for the next 30 days. Something broke over here and we don't have anybody to fix it but me. So then, I let my wife know. I let my kids know. I let my staff know, hey, listen, I need to focus my attention over here for the next 30 days. Things might get a little hectic. I may not have a lot extra time, So just be aware of that. And then I've got an assistant that will clear my schedule and I'll focus on that. And then when that's fixed, I pull back, look over. I'll normally see a few things and then I can make decisions from there. But my days are very different depending on the needs of my business. But the things that are consistent are I have meetings with my staff from from all the different things that we do. We stay on the same page. We have daily huddles with my teams and I'm kind of bouncing in between those. And we have like management meetings, financial meetings. Sometimes I'll get on like client meetings because I still like to be involved with the process with our clients. And the assistant that I hired, her primary role is to free me up so that I can spend time with my staff and my clients for all my businesses, because I think that's the most valuable asset that I can deliver instead of being covered in the weeds doing like admin stuff, responding to emails, things like that. I try not to respond to emails as much as possible and just let her handle that. So yeah, day for me looks like that. And, I'm in and out of like our mastermind GDU. We have those, 3 days a week. And just bouncing around from all the different things, but it's not as hectic as I think a lot of people think. It can get hectic if you don't control it. But, I think what we have to understand is time is much like money. If you don't give it a budget, it just takes over. So, you have to be able to spend your time like you spend your money. It's got to be planned ahead of time, and your calendar is your budget for your time.
So do you use the block schedule method?
Everything's blocked off for me.
Oh, I just kind of got into that, and I found that to be true because I think before I used to just work like, okay, I'm gonna just knock this out, but then, oh man, somebody sent me an email. Oh man, somebody messaged me. Oh man, my team sent this, and so there were times recently where I was getting to the end of the day, and I'm like, I don't feel like I was productive. I know I started a lot of tasks, but I don't know how many things I fully brought into completion just because I'm reacting versus like you're saying, hey, this is the schedule. I'll carve out time for reacting, but this is what my plans are to do. And then that discipline to actually stick to those things.
Yeah.
That's for me has been the challenge in trying to switch to that block method. How do you deal with that?
So, I mean, like the thing for me is that interruptions are tough because I am ADD. And so I've realized that my transitions take longer. So if I'm in the middle of something, I'm grooving, like I'm blowing and going, we're going fast. But if I get interrupted, it takes me a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get back in that groove, which is very difficult. So I set boundaries a lot of times, where I'll just tell people like, hey, I'm shutting everything off. Don't talk to me. I got to focus. Like, you have to. And I know it sounds funny, but like, if you don't, then you're not able to accomplish what you not. And it's not fair to my family to not do that during the day, because for every hour that I'm working, I'm not spending it with them. So I try to be meticulous with my time so that I'm not stealing that away from my children.
No, see, I told y'all, he dropping gems. They real subtle. If you ain't there, you ain't catching it. All right. So you brought that up earlier. You talked about how we go through seasons in business. In our case right now, it's tax season. So I know exactly what you mean there. And one of the things that you said that I want you to jump into for is you said, hey, I talked to my wife about it and give her the heads up. And then I tell my kids. Now, why do you do that? I think I know why, but for the people who don't understand or are struggling with still trying to give their family the best of them, or maybe they're struggling not giving them the proper time, but they feel guilty. How are you dealing with that? What made you start to institute that kind of communication? Jump into that for me.
Yeah, I started feeling guilty for working 15, 18 hours a day and, back in the day. And so, guilt is a killer. It's a silent killer, and I'm not a big fan of it. So I tried to figure out the best way to overcome guilt is to be transparent and open and not closed off. Like if you share, then it kind of goes away. It's kind of weird. It exercises in darkness. So if I go to my family and I say, hey, listen, you know, I'm not happy about this, but I'm probably gonna have to work a lot for the next 30 days. And I know this disrupts our plans on a few things, but I'll do my best to work around it and still try to fulfill my obligation. But if I drop the ball, like this is why. And that's not fair to my wife because she doesn't get to kind of pull that with me a lot. She's a stay-at-home mom. So
And his wife is so sweet, by the way, y'all. I
yeah,
met
so
her.
I'll have
I'm
that
not.
conversation with her that I'm gonna be busy for 30 days. No, I'm just kidding. She's pretty understanding, although I do take care of her, and I am building her house right now, so I think
Get a little bit more
I've
grace.
got some credit established, yeah. So when it comes to that, I can still feel guilty sometimes for maybe missing a practice or whatever, but I still try to attend the practices and all the games and everything else, and that I'm usually not, I'm usually not, it's not a problem for me to make those. So, but just setting the expectation, it's a lot easier if they know that, hey, this is not a long-term thing. This is just a short-term thing that I need to do to get things back on track over here. And that's the reason why I share the information, because it also helps me that I don't feel guilty about it. We're fixing a short-term problem for a long-term solution. And the more I do that.
So how do your kids respond? Because I know with them being younger, you know, talking to your wife, who's typically super supportive, she's gonna be like, all right, you gotta do what you gotta do. But I know that sometimes kids can kind of interpret things wrong, or maybe they don't fully understand. How do those conversations go with them? Because you mentioned that they're active in other activities. Is that an easy conversation? Have they grown to understand? How does that work? Because I got younger kids. I'm taking tips.
Your kids are perfect, so it's kind of hard to compare the two, right? I mean, for the time that I've spent with you, I'm pretty sure you have like the next golden child.
Oh, okay.
Have you
Okay,
seen
let's
that movie?
give them context. So, of course, y'all know we got the baby, but when he met him, the baby was like 3 or 4 months, and he never cried whenever they were around. Now, when they weren't around,
Literally
cried like normal.
smiled the whole time. The plane, the car, the hotel, the events,
Mm-mm.
just the happiest, most sleeping baby you've ever seen in your entire life.
So ever since then, Ryan thinks that my baby is perfect because every time he sees them, and it's true, every single time he literally sees them, he's not
perfect.
doing nothing but grinning. So,
The golden child.
okay, they're not perfect, but keep on.
Yeah, so I think they learn, right? And I've studied a little bit on this, and there's some data out there that shows that men being gone for a period of time working doesn't affect your children as negatively as we probably make it feel like we do. I think what my kids see is a hardworking entrepreneur that's willing to take risk and grow and take care of his people. And what that instills in them is more valuable than unmeaningful time. Now, the key to this whole thing is once you come out of that season, you kind of like, I call it chasing. They start to learn a little bit like how to adapt without you. And so then you have to chase them. So I do that. I try to do that. It's like take my wife out to dinner for a date night, take my daughter out for a date night, take my son to Andretti's. Those are like their favorite things to do. And we'll do those things. And then I think 1 hour, and I'm not saying this is enough for everybody, but like if you have 1 hour of truly meaningful time, better than 5 hours of distracted time. And so I think if you take the time to do that and try to make that happen, I think it works. And so I don't think it's as much about the hours as it is about the quality.
I like that. That's good. Because I mean, those are some of the conversations me and my wife have been talking about recently. Not in a negative way, but just like, hey, let's make sure we're always checking in on each other's love tank, making sure we're spending not just family time, but like husband and wife time, so that doesn't fade and it's just we just roommates. And even the same thing with the kids. Like, hey, take one and just go to the store, but just let it be you and them and make your own thing. So that is very true what you just said right there. I hope everybody caught that. Um, okay, staying right here on the family topic. Now, you started multiple businesses, so let's go back to the first one. So when you go to your wife and say, "Hey, I'm thinking of starting this company," what did she say? Like,
No,
I get the feeling she was supportive, but I'm sure there
she
was,
wasn't.
with that being the first company, not the newest one, there was some type of reaction or response. How did that go? Because I found everybody's story is different at that part.
She said no.
She said, like, just
Just no.
no.
Yeah. She was like, first of all, you don't know anything about garage doors. I've seen you try to fix stuff around the house and it doesn't work. And this is a dumb idea. She was like, no, absolutely not. I don't think you should do that. And so I was like, okay. Well, the thing with my wife is you don't argue with her when she makes her first objection. Like, you got to give her time, right? And then you got to like pray. Yeah, you got to pray because then it's like God will tell her what she's allowed to let me do, right? So, so you got to be like, God, show her the light, right? Show her the light.
Oh, it. Oh, it.
But I mean, women make a lot of decisions based on stability, and we were super stable, and we had savings, we had we had money, we were making a great living. There was no reason to rock the boat other than I just could not work for anyone else anymore. Like I was to the point where I just couldn't do it. I was a horrible employee, great performer, but
Wait, why would you? I would have never guessed that. Why would you say you're a horrible employee?
I can't fight for something I don't believe in. And so I'm
Mm.
not a good company guy in that aspect. And when the company changes direction in a way that I don't believe in the direction, whether it's good or bad, I know this is a fault of mine. It's not them wrong, it's me wrong. But I have a tendency to push back. And um, healthy or not, which I don't think it is, that's why I think I'm just not a good employee. Is I'm so stubborn, and it sounds like I'm saying if it's not my way, it's the highway. But even if it's not if it's not my way, but I believe in the path, I can get behind it, right? And I was always behind everything that we did, and then we got acquired, and the new company came in, started making a bunch of changes, and I didn't believe in the new path, so I just I knew it was time to.
Okay, that makes sense. So then let's flip that. So now that you're the owner of 5 companies, like how do you help your team buy into your vision so that they're not having that internal struggle like you may have felt at one point?
Yeah, so enabling them to win and kind of make decisions and taking feedback from them on where we're going. So we do a lot of things based off of employee feedback. We realize that we're not micromanagers, and so we're not in the know like they are. So the best way for us to make decisions is to consult with our staff and our team on the direction, especially on the ground level of like how we're going to make moves and when we're going to do it.
That's smart. Yeah, I hope y'all catching these. Like some of these gems, I'm just listening, not stopping y'all to point it out. But I mean, I've learned that to be true as well. Um, that including your team on your goals and objectives, what you're trying to do, makes all the difference. Because I mean, to your point, even with our team, like we've done, all right, hey, this is a 6 month check-in or whatever the case. Like, how are you feeling? What do you think about our systems and processes? Could we improve and things of that nature? And even in their feedback, they're like, I love it because I feel like I have a place. I feel like my role matters. So I have found that that is very, very true, that including them versus just do this, do that, and being just so, I don't even know what you call that, but just, I don't know if it's harsh,
It's ownership. So
overbearing.
like you hire people that you think are intelligent enough to be able to make good decisions in the role that they're going to be in. Then you enable them and give them the tools they need to be able to succeed at doing that. Once those things are established and they have the trust in the fact that they can make decisions, and even if they make bad decisions, it's a teachable moment and not a fireable offense. That's when I think you start to see things take off and you can shift your and then you just have your team reporting back to you all the information that you need to watch and keep in control of everything. So I'm not having to go do it. They're reporting back to me, like, here's where we're at on these things. So if I'm getting that information from all these different places, I can spot issues from certain perspectives through data.
Okay, okay. And I like how you said it's everything they do is not a fireable offense. This a teaching opportunity. And I think that word choice is very important because sometimes, at least I know for me coming from corporate, you make a mistake and you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? But like you said, no, as long as we can learn from it, do our best to meet the client and make up for it the way we can. Like you said, it typically ends up being a great thing because now we've learned something, we've identified some type of gap or issue in our systems or processes, and it just makes us even better going forward.
100%.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Now I know this is gonna be like the section when you can tear this one up. So let's talk about lessons. So 5 businesses you've learned or are continuing to learn how to kind of balance the family, not miss out on pretty much anything. When it comes to lessons, like what are 2 or 3 things that maybe you've learned during your journey that you just learned about yourself and being a business owner that you may not have known had you stayed with that company, for example?
Yeah. So I think first of all, I want to go back to something that you said, like, I think you gave me a little bit more credit than I deserve. There's no such thing as balance between work and family. So if you look up the definition of balance, it's equal of 2 things, right? So
Mhm.
there's no possible way you can have an equal of 2 things when you are at work for 8, even if you work a standard work day of 8 hours, right? You're looking at 8 hours plus
Right.
lunch break. So you're like gone for 8.5, 9 hours. Then you sleep for how long? I usually sleep for 6.5 hours. So if you take, what is the math there? So you're looking at 14, 15 hours.
8 plus 6 is 14.
Yeah, 14, 15 hours of non-family time. How many hours are there in a full day? 24. So, you got
Mhm.
10 hours. Now, not many Americans are working only, 8 hours a day. Many are doing 50 or 60 hours a week. So when you start adding that up, now that time starts shrinking. But there's no way to have balance. And so I think the first thing that I learned was not to put so much pressure on trying to establish balance. But again, going back to my previous conversation about quality is more important than quantity. And if you spend 2 hours of quality time, that's better than 5 hours of distracted time. And it's so easy to fall in that trap. I still do it today where, I'm responding to emails or doing whatever in the evening time when I have a great opportunity to hang out with my son because my wife and my daughter are at cheer, and I miss it. Did that the other day and I instantly regretted it. That's where my guilt comes from. Not from working too much. It's from not taking advantage of the moments that I have with him or her or my wife, um, when I have it and I stay distracted and don't do that. So that's a big deal.
That's a good one. See, because I feel like I can even improve on that one. Because of course mine are younger than yours, they're elementary age. But it's like you said, it's so I found and it's so good because when I'm working, like will they come in and say something or ask for some help or something like that? Sure. But I think it's like you said, his like the other night, I remember I told him, hey, we're gonna play dang, what's the game where you throw the sandbag into the hole?
Oh, cornhole.
We were playing cornhole in the house. And I told him, I said, "Hey, before the day is over, we're gonna play it. Y'all behavior was great, blah, blah, blah." Well, this was on a Sunday, so of course, me and my wife served in the morning, came back with the team first. So they're getting into bed. It's like 9:30, and my wife's like, "Don't forget, you told them that you would play that game with them." And they were technically in the bed already. I went up there, turned that light on. I was like, "Let's go." And they was like, "Are you serious right now?"
That's
And
awesome.
I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." Now, I, of course, blew them out,
Of course.
and, somebody was a little
Made him
teary
show
guy.
his boss. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I
That's
mean,
sad.
if we gonna
That's
play the
okay.
game
Still quality time. Yeah. Then
right, and so
you
they
grew up
loved it. So
knowing
I
that
think
you're
what
better
you
than them
said
and
is
everything.
so Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think what you said was so perfect in that that took us all of maybe 15 minutes when you include the laughs and going to get the bean bags. But I think that made so much more of an impact than the you sitting there with you fall asleep or whatever the case. So that is so good. And to your other point, man, the quality is important, and I think, like you said, chasing after them in the yeah, I may be in tax season, but trying to find ways to let them know, like, "No, no, no, I'm still paying attention, I'm still active, I just ain't got as much time, but I'm still paying attention, I still know what your mom told me, I heard you read that book," etcetera. I think that is so good, so good. Mm. Alright, let's go this way. So we're still on lessons. What are 2 or 3 practices that you would contribute to your success? Because I know you said you get up between, like, 4:30 and 6, so getting up early is clearly one of them. What are some other things that you're adding that you feel like, "Hey, if I don't do this, my day definitely trash," versus if I do this, I tend to have a very productive day?
Being prepared, I would say I spend anywhere from 2 or 3 hours all the way to 5 or 6 hours on a Sunday evening preparing for the week. So I'm going through my meetings, making sure those meetings are valuable to my goals for the year, my goals for the month, my goals for the week. So taking all those things into consideration. If they don't align, and I just scheduled it because, I thought it was cool or fun or whatever, then I probably reschedule them or cancel them or push them off. Um, so making sure that everything in your week aligns with what your end goal is for the year, the month or the week, I think is super important. And taking advantage of that, blocking off your schedule, and food preparation is important. Being able to eat healthy when you need it. And I think when you can get, I hate the word busy, when you can be as productive as I am during the day, we'll replace busy with productive.
I
It's
like it, I
it's
like it.
easy to get past the point of hunger and then hop in the car and I got a Bojangles right here and a Burger King over there that's like 1 minute away. And it's very tempting for me to be able to shoot over there and grab something just to fill the belly so I can keep going. And that's not productive, right? Because then you fill yourself with bad foods and then it affects your mental capacity to be able to think quickly, make good decisions. It increases the wrong chemicals in your body that induces stress. So I think it's
Yeah.
important, like it's a trickle effect. Preparation to me is probably one of the biggest keys to my success from day one.
I like that. So, okay, let me ask you this, because now we're still bringing that family time back into it. So, when I know you go to church on Sunday, just because we talked about it. So, do you ever feel some type of way about, hey, I'm starting to kind of jump into work on a Sunday evening, and maybe this could be family time, or is that one of those things where kind of your routine is planned, and that's just what sets you up for a better week?
Yeah, I have to do it. It's not an option for me. If I don't do it, then I hit the ground running on Monday, and then it becomes more of like a reactive position than a proactive position. And so, like I mentioned earlier, your calendar is your budget of time, and if you don't have control of it, it'll control you, and then you're dodging bullets all week, and that's not a good way to live.
You know, I felt that. I felt that.
But yeah,
So
to
too
your
close to
point though
home.
about the family, Saturday I try not to do anything with my computer, and I try to stay off my phone as much as possible. Um, and we're usually out at kids events, games, stuff like that, and having a good time as a family, going out to eat, things like that. So Saturday's a big day. Then we go to church together as a family, and then we'll normally go to lunch together, and we'll hang out for a little bit when we get home, and then I get started on my week.
Okay, see, I'm mind you, I'm taking notes because I do the same thing on Saturday, but see, I found to your point, and I want y'all to know that what he's saying is true. Like, mind you, he has to find businesses that are time tested. I've tried to do like all my planning on Monday, like Monday morning for that first hour, 45 minutes. All right, let me kind of plan out my week, my task. But like you said, at that point, it's almost already too late because I'm looking at I don't touch my emails over the weekend, so now I have 93 emails to go through. Got 7 notifications in Slack. My team wanna ask me 20 things. So, I think that it's super crucial to success. How prepared in advance can you be? And then you're attacking already from a place of victory versus what you say, dodging bullets and being super reactive. Dang, I think that was so good. Bro, you see, you trying to give yourself credit. These is
I'm
gems.
a simple person, bro.
I love it. All right, so let's wrap this up. Last thing, what would you tell high school version of you or college senior version of you that now that you've gone through what you've gone through, you got the family, you have successful businesses, I would say at least just from the outside looking in, you're on the right path for what you want. What would you go back into the 18 or 22, 23-year-old Ryan that you may not have known or may not have believed at that point or may not have even known about yourself or seen?
That's tough. And it could be a lot of things. And I was scrambling to think of something real quick, but I think I figured it out. And that is trust your calling. Um,
Mm.
because I always knew that I was supposed to be a leader, and not just any leader, but I was supposed to also help lead leaders. And I didn't see it in myself back then. I had the desire. I didn't have the knowledge, the wisdom, fortitude. Um, and so I didn't see it. I couldn't picture it. It wasn't visual for me. So I didn't have, like, I grew up very poor. I didn't have a lot of great leaders in my life. So that void was kind of empty. And so I would say that for me, it was go against all odds. Don't worry about the odds on you. Trust your calling on your life and go after it. And so a lot of people thought I was supposed to be a pastor. I was not supposed to be like a preaching pastor, but I am supposed to be a business like pastor. So I consider my business to be like my congregation, and I try to treat my employees as if they are coming to church every day, and I'm supposed to lift them up and encourage them and put them on the path of success and greatness.
I, man, that is so I don't even know how to summarize that because we literally talked about that in my ministry last week about how, a lot of people, yes, we're about to jump into faith, so y'all clearly it's all right. But about how we think like we may hear one thing and we just take that and run with it and not realizing how big God can use us. Like you said, okay, you may think I'm supposed to be a pastor. I am. I'm preaching to my employees to get the best out of them, to encourage them, to uplift them, because maybe you're the only Bible they see, versus trying to, start Lucia International Ministries. That is Lucia International Ministries, I guess.
To a degree.
So
Yeah.
So yeah, man,
My income's
that's all.
taxed. That's all. I probably should have started the ministry because I wouldn't be paying as much taxes, but yeah.
That is true. I can't even argue that one. I can't argue that one. All right, so here, let's wrap this up because I know you got to check in with your people. So tell the people what is the best way they can get in touch with you for all of your businesses. If they need the garage doors, the screens, how can they get in touch with you? And then just any last thoughts that you want to leave us with.
Yeah, so if you want to get in touch with me about any of our services, whether it be garage door or podcast or marketing services, whatever, with my media company, you can just hit me up on Facebook. It's Ryan Lucia, Lucia is my last name, and just message me on there. I usually respond pretty quickly. I'm involved in a bunch of different Facebook groups that I'm pretty active in, so that would probably be the best way. And then, no, I don't really have anything to leave you guys with other than, I think what you're doing, Cameron, is great, and stick with it. I did a podcast for like 2 years where I didn't see a lot of fruit from it, and then overnight it blew up, and we had a lot of success, and that's opened a lot of doors for me that it wouldn't have happened had I not started and stuck with the podcast. So the content you're creating now will pave the path for the future. I went back and looked at Gary Vee's very first wine tasting review on the, if you hear him tell the story about how that's how he started, was he was doing videos, and it took him 500 videos to get one to go viral. He's talking about like that's almost 2 years of time, right? So like 2 years doing a video like every day of like different wines and wine tasting and comparison. And I went back and looked at the very first one. I encourage you all to do it and just see how imperfect it is. And he was still charismatic, but he wasn't as smooth as he is now, right? He had not arrived yet, so the confidence wasn't as high. And so not that he's cocky, but he's super confident, and he's tested his ideas, he's proven them right, and now he can walk in confidence, where before he was just learning and figuring it out. The lighting wasn't great, the video wasn't great, he kind of fumbled a couple times, and now look at him, right? And so for you, bro, I would just say keep doing what you're doing, because you never know, that 500 episode could be the one that cracks it all open.
500, man. If we doing this for 500 episodes, woo, we need to have touched some lives. Got sponsored by like Moe's or something. We should be doing it.
I like those. That's a good sponsor.
Yeah, shoot.
We should reach out to them.
I'm at y'all spot 2 times a week. I got my mobile app. Come on, stop playing. All right, well, we gonna let you go. Thank you again so much, you guys. You heard how to get in touch with us. Do you sure you don't want to tell them anything else? Because, I mean, you got the garage, you got the podcast, you got the mastermind, you got the media company.
No, just be blessed, man. Go out and do your thing. Don't be scared. Don't do things because, I'm probably overkill. When it comes to fear, I run towards it, but a lot of people run from it. So fear is a mere small obstacle that can be hopped over with a little bit of effort.
Bam. There you go. All right, y'all. So this has been another episode in the books. We are super excited. We hope that you guys got so much. We talked about, is work-life balance even possible? How to communicate properly with your family so that you're not leaving them behind, even if you're feeling it in the workplace. How to make sure that you're still staying involved. How to invest back in your team. How to treat your team so that you can get the best out of them. Just treat them right like great people. We talked about learning opportunities. We talked about how failure is not the worst thing in the world as long as you're using it to make you better. So I hope you guys heard all these things. Again, hit Ryan up if you need help, whether it's the screens, the garage. If your marketing is trash, I mean, he's right here. Like, there's no need to play. Other than that, y'all, this is Legacy's Journey, where we're creating what outlived you. Can't wait to see you guys on the next episode. See ya.
Thanks for having me on.